Welcome to Sports Betting Podcast from pregame.com for Super Bowl week 2010. I'm your host, RJ Bell. I'm joined by Marco D'Angelo, 30 years in the business, Vegas runner, genuine professional bettor here in Vegas, star of the CNBC special on illegal gambling. This is segment 2 of 6 of our Super Bowl extravaganza. And in the first segment, we broke down the Colts. Now we're going to break down the Saints. Okay, so Marco, from a handicapping perspective, for this game, what jumps out at you about the Saints?
What the Saints is obviously their offense and their ability to score. They've scored 24 or more points in every meaningful game. And by meaningful, the only 2 games that I take out, every game but one. The Dallas game's the only game that they didn't score 24, and that's the game they lost.
But meaningful game.
Right. The 2 games after that I didn't count because they had nothing to play for after they lost their first game of the season. They had the home field locked up and ready to go.
But just to be clear, unless I'm mistaken, the week 16, I guess it'd be the next to last week, they still hadn't had home field locked up at the time they played that game.
They needed one win or Minnesota lost.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what we got to be careful of. It's too easy to put things into buckets. This Saints team had something to play for in week 16, and they didn't perform.
Right.
I mean, this team, let's be candid, from that Dallas game on, I don't think that the only game you could say is impressive in any way. I guess winning is always impressive.
Right.
But being impressive beyond winning was the Arizona game where you had a fraudulent Arizona team that was off a Sunday night win playing the first game on Saturday. Horrible spot for Arizona having to travel. Saints played well. Otherwise, I question where's the good games been even in the second half of the year. Do you got that's their schedule right there?
Right here, yes, sir.
I mean, let's take a second, just read down the games.
And going backwards, their last 10 games against Minnesota, Arizona, Carolina, Tampa.
Loss against Tampa when they needed
in overtime. Dallas
got destroyed at
both
home.
of those were home games, even the Tampa game. At Atlanta, at Washington, needed overtime to beat Washington.
And what was the Atlanta score?
They only won by 3 as a 10-point favorite. They beat New England. They won
Tampa by whatever. All right, so New England. So since that
also,
New England
we can't
game,
forget though. By that time, they had already. It was so the excitement. They are already secured a playoff spot in their division. They were so far ahead. Their division was so terrible. So you get a little content, and their defense got banged up after that New England game. They didn't have their core players in defense. They picked up guys that hadn't. Who was the cornerback that didn't play in 2 years?
All right, so let's drill down to this because I don't think there's any debate that since the New England game, this team has been at best
underperformed.
At best above average by 1 notch. Now you're saying maybe that's because of injuries.
Yeah, injuries and being content.
I disagree. You're telling me the Dallas game, they were content. I mean, that was a huge game. They were undefeated.
No, of course, that's a
Saturday.
big game, but you can't just turn on and off the switch is what I'm saying. But when you look behind you and you see Carolina is no threat, you see Tampa Bay is no threat, you see Atlanta is no threat.
I mean, come on. They had home field. They were trying hard in the Cowboys game. They had home field that was up even through week 16 with Tampa Bay. This team wasn't playing well. The question is why? Is it injuries?
And I think that had something to do with it. But I think there's so much emphasis that the Colts played so well, and New Orleans hasn't played that well. When you look at the stats, that's just not the case. The New Orleans defense, who's supposed to be the weakest, just allows a field goal more a game than the Colts do. They don't allow 10 more points a game. They're better against the rush. Offensively, they're better in every category except passing. And they're making, because of the Saints, the way they looked against Minnesota and how they shouldn't have won the game, they forced 15 turnovers. Of course they should have won the game. Why shouldn't you win the game? That everybody's saying that the Colts, how they dominated the Jets.
15 turnovers.
Well, they put the ball on the ground 6 times, the Minnesota. They stripped them 6 times, 6 fumbles they had. Okay. And if the New Orleans didn't try to pick each one up and run for a touchdown, they probably would have won by 3 touchdowns.
They did leave a few on the ground. The point, you're right. Everybody agrees they shouldn't have won against Minnesota. But here's the one thing I'm gonna state: the Colts to get here beat Joe Flacco, Sanchez.
Nobody.
New Orleans beat 2 MVP quarterbacks.
Last year's Super Bowl team.
Warner and Favre to get here.
Last year's Super Bowl
Give
team.
them some
and
credit
all
for
that
that.
pressure. This team, who was the Aints, now I think it's a free roll in the Super Bowl. It was the championship game is what you saw. What did
the
you
Saints are free roll.
What did you see
It's
in
a
the
poker
championship game? And what did we say to each other? What is this team doing? They're not airing it out. They're playing conservative. They look like
hold on, the host.
the pressure was coming. It was just too
host,
much for them.
Host is going to jump in.
Speak, bro.
I'll turn your mic off.
Just yank it.
All right. First off, the free roll. I don't care how you get there. If you have let's be honest. If you have a chance, it's like if you're up to the $1 million question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and somehow you randomly guessed the question before and you got it right, and it was amazing. You still are going to care if you win the million or not.
Sure.
Okay. They're now in the place where their whole career, Dan Marino's career, is defined by not winning a Super Bowl, or it was one of the definitions of it. The Saints can have this the rest of their lives. They're not free rolling. If anything, I think something that has, I'm going to get a point or two out here, there hasn't been, Marco's chomping at the bit, is the Saints played maybe one of their worst games of the year, certainly one of the worst big games of the year in the championship game. And I've heard numerous observers say it was the pressure, the moment got to them. If at home, in the championship game of your conference, the moment gets to you, what's going to happen in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, not that the pressure's going to be off. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that is it as a free roll. I'm saying that the build-up to the NFC Championship, the fact that they're playing at home, I think was, they just the way they looked, the way they came out, they didn't look relaxed like they did against Arizona.
So they're going to be relaxed now?
Well, as one that has a future ticket, I hope they are. But I don't even know who I'm going to take yet.
I feel like I'm back in school.
The one thing that we always say, what's the one thing this team about the handicapping angle, or one thing this team has to do? They have to force turnovers. This team forces 2.6 turnovers a game. That's almost double what the Colts do. And yet, when you look at the props, the Colts are favored to have less turnovers. So I think if New Orleans is able to go out and play like they did all year and force turnovers, they'll have a shot in this game.
Now, to the free roll, it is
10 seconds. No.
8 now.
2 minutes.
The free roll, it is huge. When you're playing where you're not favored, you're not expected to win. There was the pressure of the NFC Championship, because from day one, when they started out at 13-0, everybody was talking about you getting to the Super Bowl. The fact that they got here when they shouldn't have, they're living on borrowed time. They are free rolling. You don't have the pressure. You can come into this
None
game
of their players
and play
stepped
loose.
up. He had to
You
throw
can
to
play
8
loose.
different receivers instead of going to your bread and butter. Breeze had to throw to
So
8
you're
different
really
guys.
saying, honestly, let's drill down. You're saying the Saints are going to be loose.
Yes.
Lucy.
Psychologically, it's a benefit for them to come in
As a dog?
As a dog, not
That
being
shouldn't even
expected
be there.
that
Hold on a
shouldn't be here.
second. Let's. Everything's a spectrum, okay? So there's a 0, there's a 100, and there's everywhere in between. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that 85 and above is hyper tense for a game. Naturally, the Super Bowl is going to be a 99. I'm not saying the free roll element doesn't take it from a 99 to a 95 for the Saints, or maybe it takes it to a 92, but it's going to be an extremely tense situation for this team. So last question in this segment is, I can agree with you the Saints are going to maybe have less pressure on them than a typical Super Bowl team because of the free roll element you're talking about. But would you still say it's going to be an extremely high pressure situation for the Saints?
Absolutely.
They can't come out of
that's
they got to come out of the gate okay. If they come out of the gate and mess up early, then I think that pressure's going to get to 99.5 and they'll be in trouble.
But Marco's got a point. If it's 92 instead of 99, that might be meaningful. Right. Okay, that was segment 2. Segment 3, we're going to be breaking down the over and under in this big game. And remember, you can get all of our videos at pregame.tv, or if you want to download and listen, just go to iTunes and search for pregame.com.